Hey there guys, how you doing? My gosh, you look great today. Is that a new shirt? You definitely did not have that shirt last time. It looks great on you. Anyway, there's been a great big question burning in my mind for a long while now, and it's about Miiverse. In case you don't know, even though I'm literally 100% certain you do, Miiverse was Nintendo's first answer to social media, a platform created exclusively for their systems. It got its start on Wii U, then was later brought to the 3DS. And out of everything the Wii U had to offer, it was almost universally acclaimed as one of the system's best and most clever features. Having what was essentially Twitter for no one but Wii U owners was a load of fun. It was like having a neat little club where everyone was on the same page, where all you had to do was pick a game out of the system's entire library and you could go talk with people about it. You could share all the screenshots you wanted and brag about your accomplishments. Then of course art played a huge part on Miiverse. Between the Art Academy Sketchpad app and Miiverse's own doodling system, users created and shared an absolute torrent of art, an avalanche of art all the time. It was a blast, sifting through all the most popular posts and marveling at what people can do with so little available to them. Then there were contests and developer updates and all sorts of fun stuff, all right there, built into the system. So when Nintendo officially announced that Miiverse would not be coming to the Switch, I was baffled. I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Why would Nintendo just abandon a platform that they spent so much time building up, that was a huge success and was even beloved in the eyes of so many fans? I mean, we're talking about the birthplace of Why Can't Metroid Crawl? That all by itself is enough to justify Miiverse's existence if you ask me. But then while I was watching the April 12th Nintendo Direct, it hit me. You can actually hear the point in my commentary video where it happened. When they were talking about taking pictures of your squid dudes and sharing them, I cheekily remarked how you could only share them to popular social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, and not Miiverse. And as I said it, the whole thing clicked in my head. It became so obvious, and I felt stupid for not thinking about it before. Of course Nintendo doesn't want you sharing your pics on Miiverse. If you did that, then only people on Miiverse would see them. Only people within that closed, Nintendo-centric ecosystem would be exposed to the game, and those are the people who have already bought the game. Sharing on Twitter, though, acts as a Splatoon advertisement for anyone outside of the bubble. Like, seriously, why did I not instantly get this? And please go easy on me if you did. I'm not always the sharpest bulb in the taco. But this is a really huge step for Nintendo, and even more fuel for my new Nintendo argument. It shows acknowledgement of and insight into the greater market, well beyond the level Nintendo has displayed in the past. It's both a strength and a weakness that Nintendo has historically been hesitant to look too closely at what everyone else is doing. Sometimes it leads to missed opportunities, and other times it leads to fantastic innovations. Wherever you stand on the issue, it makes them unique, there's no questioning that. And when they first started to acknowledge the existence and importance of social media, they reacted by building a platform of their own, by saying, hey, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it our way. Miiverse was the result of that, and as I said, it was great. Then, the way I see it, when they started to realize that maybe they were keeping their fans a little too isolated from the rest of the gaming community, they built a Miiverse app for smartphones. That way, anybody could hop in on the Nintendo discussion even if they didn't own a Wii U or 3DS. But instead of digging in their heels and insisting that this was the way they were doing it forever, they finally saw that there was a huge ocean out there and their games were stuck swirling around their own little pool. They saw the potential in encouraging their fans to share their gaming experiences with the world, and apparently they also got over their crippling fear that if they encouraged little Johnny to do anything on the internet and he was exposed to a dirty word, his mind would be destroyed and it would be their fault. Because we can't ignore that aspect of it. Nintendo does generally like to do things their way, but they've also just plain been scared of the internet in the past. They're all about creating a fun, safe play environment for families, so naturally Miiverse was a way of offering kids the joys of social media while retaining the ability to moderate their experiences with an iron fist. But now that's over, and it says a lot about their perspective going into the Switch's launch. Little Johnny could easily go on Twitter and see some horrendous things. He could make himself a Facebook account and fall in with some shady crowds, or worse, start submitting content to meme pages. That, Nintendo has realized, is simply not their problem, and if Johnny's gonna be bathing himself in the mud bath that is the internet, he might as well tweet about his latest Splatoon match while he's doing it. Because brands are expanded, and fans are multiplied, and companies are sustained thanks to the power of social media. Miiverse got in the way of that, so we must bid it farewell. But let us all take a moment to remember the good times we had with Miiverse. The art, the humor, the camaraderie, and most importantly, the yeah-begging. The beautiful, beautiful yeah-begging. So, other than the end of Miiverse, how will this all affect things going forward? Well, the less ideal outcome would be that nothing else changes at all. But if we're lucky, understanding the importance of social media just might lead to understanding the importance of YouTube. It's no secret that a huge number of games and even developers would be nowhere without getting tons and tons of exposure on YouTube. Yet, in a sense, Nintendo has been actively discouraging such exposure of their own games by slapping copyright claims on everything that moves. It's a very big problem because they need to stay relevant in order to survive, but more and more kids are looking exclusively to YouTube to find out what games are good, and fewer YouTubers are finding it worth it to cover Nintendo games essentially for free, when other games by other developers will help pay the bills. A while back, Nintendo rolled out a program where officially partnered people are, quote, allowed to post Nintendo-related videos without getting thrown out in the cold completely, but Nintendo keeps the lion's share of the profits and coverage is limited to certain games. Most people are none too pleased with this program, but I like to look at it in a positive light. Is it helpful? Does it do much to fix this whole messy situation? Not really. But again, if we're lucky, it's saying something about where Nintendo's at in their thought process. When social media exploded onto the scene, Nintendo first feared and ignored it, then partially accepted it by doing it their way, then finally embraced it fully. You might remember how the same thing happened with online play. They avoided it as long as they could, then dipped their toe in with a few games that went online, albeit with limited features and less than ideal performance, and now they're giving us games like Splatoon and Mario Kart with excellent performance and all the standard multiplayer features, even if some of them are tied to an app instead of being right in the games themselves. If they end up following this same process when it comes to YouTube, that would mean they're currently in the second phase. They spent plenty of time ignoring it completely, and now they're doing it their way, offering creators a little ad revenue and working hard to make their own content. And they're going after it hard, too. Now they release every single trailer for every game on their channel, as well as making all these little shows and discussions and developer Q&As, and of course stuff like Nintendo Directs. We just have to keep our fingers crossed that this is them passing through, that soon they'll get to a point where they're comfortable with other people showing off and essentially advertising their games and making money in the process. They should still totally make their own content as well, because nothing in the world will ever compare to the delightful cheesiness of some of those directs, but the exposure machine is much bigger and much more powerful than they know, and they've just got to let it run without getting in its way. If this whole three-phase theory is true, it really won't be long before they do. Knocking on wood. Knock, knock, knock! That was the very real sound of me knocking on wood. I got a big old slab of black walnut I keep right next to me for occasions like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, but if you'll excuse me, I've got to go send my Miiverse account off with one final, heartfelt, epic art piece.